Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video here, I'm going to be going over some injuries to look out for heading into week one of the NFL season. Some guys that I think are either going to be close to playing or are going to be likely to not play, and I'm going to be giving you some alternatives to those guys that might miss out for week one for the NFL season. Then I'm going to be going over my roster that I drafted for the Yahoo Standard League that I am in. It's a 10-man league with a half point PPR, and kind of going over exactly what I did in that draft, how I feel about the roster, and kind of giving you my projected points for week one against my opponent. And then after that, I'm going to be building a DraftKings Showdown lineup for tomorrow night. We are recording this on Wednesday evening, and going to be building a $1 Showdown lineup for Thursday Night Football between the Los Angeles Rams and the Buffalo Bills. Um, it's being anticipated as one of the highest scoring games for week one, so I think it's going to be an exciting game and just something else to look forward to while we're watching the kickoff game for the 2022-2023 NFL season. After the showdown lineup, I'm going to be building a lineup for week one. To start off with, I was going to take a quick look at some of the injuries that can have some massive impacts on certain players that are going to take up a lot of volume. Uh, Majority of them on Sunday. There's another one that I'm going to talk about at the end regarding Thursday Night Football. But um, first one I want to look at is one that I've been kind of monitoring and looking at, making sure I'm keeping an eye out for, because he's been one of my big value picks going into week one, was Rondale Moore. Um, it says here wasn't listed on injury report, but again they said he was going to be a close call leading up to week one. It looks like he's going to be good, but that's something you're going to have to keep up on going into Sunday morning or early Sunday afternoon before kickoff. I wrote down some players to replace Rondale Moore in the case of him not being able to go. A.J. Green, Hollywood Brown, and another injury to kind of look out for with that pass catching group is Zach Ertz is also hurt with a calf injury, I believe. So the rookie Trey McBride might be stepping into a large role for the Arizona Kansas City game Sunday, which is one of the highest point total games on the slate. So another way to kind of to kind of pivot off of a lot of people playing that game. I haven't looked at ownership through Fantasy Labs yet, but it looks like you could. Another way to go about it is just not play the pass catching group and to kind of pivot and go James Conner in that spot, and then going elsewhere to find value for the pass catchers and the quarterback. Double stack and bring back for that particular game. So that's one way to go about it. My next guy to keep an eye out for, or that we've got some better news on. He's actually going to be on another slate. Is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is expected to play, but I wouldn't play him if you're looking at doing the full 16-game slate for this week. Personally, I would just fade him. I feel like he's going to be on a limited workload this week, or for the next couple of weeks, rather. If you wanted to go with the Tom Brady stack with Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Scotty Miller, Kyle Rudolph, Cam Brate. If you want to play a Tom Brady stack with Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Cam Brate, possibly even Leonard Fournette if you want to throw him in there as well, I would avoid using Chris Godwin for the time being, just while he's still recovering from that ACL injury from last year. The next guy on my list, I've mentioned in previous videos, but since I'm doing the injury video, I might as well go ahead and cover him as well. It's well known now that Brian Robinson sustained some gunshot wounds during a carjacking. As unfortunate as it is, this bodes well for Antonio Gibson for this week against Jacksonville. Again, with Robinson being out, J.D. McKissick being really a role player coming off the sideline as the pass-catching running back, Antonio Gibson's going to be looking at a lot of volume against this Jacksonville offense. If you didn't really feel comfortable going with the Wentz, McLaurin, Samuel stack, Gibson could definitely be a good use of that running back spot or a flex spot, especially at the $5,800 price point. J.K. Dobbins, I would say, is a fade for at least the first 3 weeks of the season. Guys to replace him in the lineup would be Mike Davis and be Kenyon Drake at $5,000 for Kenyon Drake and $4,400 for Mike Davis. Another thing to keep an eye on that I'm kind of getting a bad vibe on is the contract negotiations for Lamar Jackson. Although he hasn't said anything about sitting out any point in time during the season, he has reiterated over and over again the deadline's Friday. Kind of cryptic, I think, the way he's been vocal about it, the way he's constantly talked about, I'll probably play even though I don't get a contract. I just have a feeling that that's a strong possibility that he may just say, I won't play, and then force them to give him a contract even if he misses week 1 or if he misses week 2. So just something to keep an eye on, something to add to the J.K. Dobbins injury, and really just a whole Baltimore offense as well. The next injury to look out for the week 1 Sunday slate is going to be wide receiver Deontay Johnson. It says here, limited practice participant on Wednesday. Also listen to the beat reporter from Pittsburgh on the Pat McAfee show. You could tell that there was a lot of skepticism on whether or not he'll actually play this Sunday. Being that Pittsburgh's going to be a predominantly run-heavy offense this season with Najee Harris, and really having Mitch Trubisky being the starting quarterback for the start of the season, I would say I wouldn't really take the risk on Deontay Johnson, who is $6,000 in salary. When you have Claypool and Pickens, there's $5,000 and lower at that price point. Not to mention Pat Freiermuth at tight end, who's sitting at $4,200 as well. So, because of the other options on that offense, as far as pass catchers go, Deontay Johnson is a true fade for this week, and possibly something to monitor for week 2. Being that, in the little detail section there, it seemed like he himself was skeptical as well, along with the beat reporter I listened to on the Pat McAfee show, talking about how he didn't seem too confident in him recovering well with that shoulder injury. So just keep an eye on it leading up to Sunday. I myself would rather just avoid any kind of active sweat for Sunday and just play the other 2 receivers, just so I wouldn't even have to worry about it at all, really. The next guy on the injury lookout is Allen Lazard, dealing with an ankle injury heading into week 1. Obviously, going into the season, everybody felt confident that Allen Lazard was going to be the true wide receiver 1 in that offense. You could argue that Randall Cobb would probably be the one that's most familiar with Aaron Rodgers, but in my mind, I would say that Allen Lazard was the favorite. But with his injury to his ankle this early in the season, playing against the Minnesota Vikings and having the depth at running back, having really young receivers having really young receivers in that wide receiver room with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, or Dubes, or I don't really even know how to pronounce it. I think it's Dobbs. With Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, there's a lot of time to give these receivers time to develop early in the season. Take the workload off of Allen Lazard, let him rest if he misses week 1. And you also got the veterans here, Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb, to help Rodgers out in the pass game, especially for week 1. So with that injury being so early in the season, I would expect, or in my opinion, if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm resting Lazard. Being this early in the season, having the healthy running back room with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson, who are healthy. To me, it's just too early to risk aggravating that injury. I would definitely, if you're looking at building an Aaron Rodgers double stack for that game, I'm strongly looking at Watkins, Cobb, and Dobbs. If you want to take Watson at 5,100, can. I just feel like that's a riskier pick, being that Aaron Rodgers made a point to mention Romeo Doubs in an interview, how he's not going to hold him to a typical rookie standard. The last guy I wanted to mention as far as injuries go is Van Jefferson. Now, I know he's not going to be on the Sunday slate, and he's going to be playing tomorrow, or, his team is playing tomorrow night, but I feel like I have to mention him if you are going to be playing in a showdown lineup, that he is going to be out tomorrow night against Buffalo for the opening game of the season. But with that being said, that bodes really well for Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson and Tyler Higbee to get a lot of volume in the pass game tomorrow night in that in the highest point total game of the week, I think, between the Bills and the Rams. So just one more injury to look out that we have a definitive answer on now, and what that means for the rest of the pass catching group for the Rams for tomorrow night. So something to keep in mind when you're building lineups for the showdown tomorrow night, or if you're doing the full 16 game slate this weekend. So something to keep an eye out for. All right, so yesterday I did a standard season long draft for Yahoo. It's a half point PPR league, 10-man league, and we finished the draft yesterday, and this is my week 1 matchup. Throughout the season, I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview of just kind of like a personal journal, see how I'm doing on my standard draft league. I feel like I had a pretty solid draft. Took Dak Prescott, Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, CMC, Aaron Jones, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Ryan Suckup, and the Cleveland defense. Needless to say, I actually had the number 1 pick. So that was I've never had that in all the years that I've been drafting through Yahoo. So that was a bit of a surprise when we entered the draft lobby. So I thought that was pretty cool. Kind of challenging as well, going basically 20 picks before you get to the next round, then having the back-to-back picks like that. So I had to reach a little bit on certain picks, but I thought it was solid. I thought I had a solid draft, and this is the draft order that I had gone in for the draft. It was here with the 60th pick. I just saw where it went out again. So, but yeah, if you want to just look over this roster, you can hit pause or whatever later on in the video just to see exactly where I was able to get guys throughout the draft and what round I got them in. In case you're doing a draft for tomorrow. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick showdown lineup for DraftKings for tomorrow night. I'm not gonna do anything big or anything like that. Just gonna do a quick $1 entry. Just to have a little fun with it tomorrow night. Just something to look forward to while watching a game. So again, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, we know now that Van Jefferson is going to be out for the game. So to pick for the captain spot, you really want a high scoring player for that spot. So again, going with what I've been talking about earlier this season with Cooper Kupp, how there's going to be major regression coming his way, I think. in addition, with the Van Jefferson injury, I'm playing Allen Robinson at the top in the captain spot. I feel like he's going to outproduce Cooper Kupp, not only fantasy-wise for this game, but I would even go as far as this season. I just feel like he's the more talented receiver. I feel like now that Cooper Kupp's kind of got film on him, showing what his strengths are, showing what his weaknesses are, I just feel like there's no way he'll be able to replicate. Obviously, it's very unlikely he's going to replicate what he did last season, let alone replicate even half. Wouldn't say half, probably 3/4 of what he did last season with the talent that they now have. And I'm not sold that they won't sign OBJ by the end of this season either. So, but that's neither here nor there as far as season long or going into the season goes. I'm playing Allen Robinson for that first spot here. Pair him up with Matt Stafford. I am going to go with Josh Allen here as well. Being that it's going to be a high-scoring game, I feel like there's going to be spots early on in the game where it's going to be very field positioned based as far as the offense goes, where they're going to be wanting to get where they're going to want to get points early on. So I'm going to go with both kickers. Usually, I try to stay away from that, but in order to maximize the points that are being scored, I'm going with both kickers here to be able to afford both quarterbacks. And with the last pick, with 10,000 left, I can either go Gabe Davis or I can go Stephon Diggs if I wanted to. I would actually say I'm more inclined just to go ahead and go with the top guy, Stephon Diggs. You know what? I think I have him in another lineup because I think I've done 2 other ones for tomorrow night. So to be different, I'm going to go ahead and go Gabe Davis. And the thing about Showdown is, leaving roster or leaving salary left on the board can create a little bit of a different lineup as well. So I think that can bode well for for this team or for this lineup rather. So we're going with Allen Robinson for the Rams in the captain spot. We're going with Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen, Tyler Bass, Matt Gay, and Gabe Davis in this lineup. All right, go ahead, enter. Boom, we're in. So my 50-50 lineup for this week: Kyler Murray, Christian McCaffrey, Najee Harris, Justin Jefferson, Marquise Brown, Romeo Doubs, Dallas Goedert, Sky Moore, and the Dolphins defense. I'm hoping that that secondary for the Dolphins can get a few picks, maybe even a pick 6 against Mac Jones early on in the season. So again, this is kind of a showing you a 50-50 lineup, see how long we can double our entries for the season. So if we hit here on week 1, then what I'll end up doing is I'll do a $5 entry again, just like this one, and then I'll use the other $5 that we made and do like 5 $1 entries just to make sure that we're kind of hedging ourselves. So again, we'll see how this goes. Just kind of like an experiment to see how it goes. So all right, go ahead and submit that. On to Underdog Fantasy. So with Underdog Fantasy, if you haven't played the pick'em on here, basically you pick the over/under for several different stats that they make available to you. They got just about every quarterback, every game, at least 1 or 2 players, if not 3 or more, included, and you just pick the over/under for the stats they give you. You know, definitely look through, find the best value for these picks. So we're just going to kind of look through here, see if we can find some, good values for this slate, for this Sunday slate. And just for sake of being fun, we're gonna go ahead and do all 5 picks and hope we can win $100. So let's see here. I'm gonna go higher on Gabe Davis to get more than 60 yards receiving. For one, outside of Stephon Diggs, I mean, I would imagine this game's gonna shoot. It's gonna be crazy high. I would imagine that both teams are easily going to score 30. So, obviously, if you think both teams are going to score 30, they're going to have a lot of passing yards. So, I'm looking at Gabe Davis because I basically look at him and Stephon Diggs as one and the same. I feel like they're all of equal pedigree as far as that pass catching group goes for Buffalo. Some of y'all may disagree, being that Stephon Diggs is the beast that he is, and Gabe Davis is being kind of a player that kind of was coming into his ability at the end of the season last year. But Gabe Davis over 60 yards, or at least 60 yards receiving. So that's one for tomorrow night to look out for. I'll also like Allen Robinson above 65 yards receiving for tomorrow night. I'm actually going to go ahead and click that as well. Also surprising, they only have Juju Smith at 47.5 yards receiving. I feel like that is super low considering the type of game that this can easily be. I mean, they're projecting 320 yards, 21 total yards, 300 yards passing. Just looking at how they have this divvied up between the receivers, you can hit over for all these receivers just about and probably be okay, being how crazy that game's going to be. But so I'm going with Juju Smith-Schuster for the underdog pick here for KC. Again, they don't have Rondale Moore. So I'm going to hold off on Marquise because I do have some questions about how he's going to be doing as far as production. I would feel more inclined to go with the 12.25 fantasy points on this rather than the receiving yards. Just for my leaning towards him scoring a touchdown at some point in that game, being that it's going to be a really high scoring game. So, although I would feel comfortable making that pick, I'm gonna hold off just because we already got one for that game. I think he'll easily have at least 117.5 against the New York Giants, who I think is probably going to be the worst defense in the NFL this year. So yeah, I feel like that's going to be an easy hit for Derrick Henry there, barring injury, of course. Looking at all the different stats here, they got 61.5 yards for rushing receiving for Dameon Pierce against Indianapolis. I don't think they give Davis Mills the credit that he deserves for being a pretty good, solid quarterback in the NFL. The guy wasn't even supposed to win the job when they put him in, and the guy was able to perform. coming out of Stanford. So I like Davis Mills. All the hype's been around Dameon Pierce this season. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the over for the rushing and receiving yards. I mean, he can get 2 catches right there for 5-6 yard pickup, screen passes, whatever, and still hit that number. So I like that. I like the rushing and receiving yards being coupled together like that, because obviously it just gives them more opportunity. Another reason why I picked Derrick Henry here as well. So we're just going to do a $5 one here. Again, it's going to be up to win 100. We'll play safe. We'll play safe for week 1. We'll go for the insurance. That way we only have to hit 4 out of 5. This is something new that Underdog is doing. They used to not do this before. So you always had to at least go. You had to at least hit all 5. But you know what? Actually, since we're doing PrizePicks, we're going to go for it all on Underdog. We'll go ahead and go for the straight 5 for 5. See if we can hit the over on all 5 of them this week. Hit submit. Boom. We're in. Gabe Davis over at least 60 yards receiving. Allen Robinson at least 66 yards receiving. Juju Smith-Schuster at least 48 yards receiving. Derrick Henry over 118 yards total production. Dameon Pierce at least 62 yards of production for this week to win $100. So let's see how that goes. I feel like those are solid picks for Underdog Fantasy. PrizePicks. So biggest difference on PrizePicks, they like to do a lot of these like promo, like free square type picks. Tom Brady to be able to complete a pass essentially against the Cowboys. We'll go ahead and include him into that. What's this here? I don't know what that is. Anyway, we'll go over for that. Let's see here. Rushing, receiving yards. Again, I said in early, just a minute ago, I like the combination between the two over and unders. For the over unders, for the combined rushing and receiving yards. But PrizePicks has that a little bit more on lock as far as the stats go. Najee Harris, I feel okay. I just don't feel like I feel like it's going to be a lot more passing as far as mixing goes. Najee Harris, I mean, I can see that, being that Deontay Johnson is going to be out, and they got a rookie quarterback. And as I said before, we're not a rookie quarterback. I take that back. Mitch Trubisky. Help him out as much as they can. I like Najee Harris in that spot at 86.5 between rushing and receiving. And with Deontay Johnson out, they may even call on him to run a few more screen passes for this week as well. Let's see here for receiving and rushing touchdowns. Austin Eckler to score a rushing touchdown. Or let's see if they have him on here. No, not for the combination. So just for rushing touchdowns. I mean, I still like that. I mean, score 1 touchdown for the game, I'll take that. Let's see. Sacks. I'm not gonna go with sacks. Not for tomorrow night at least. Nope. I'm not gonna go kickers. Although I think they're both possible to at least score 2 early on. Let's see. Christian McCaffrey to score against Cleveland. I'll sign me up on that one. And I like James Conner because if memory serves me right, Kansas City's defense was terrible against the run, if I remember right, which I believe I am. All right, so going back, we've got Tom Brady to complete a pass, basically, on Sunday night. Najee Harris to get 86.5 rushing and receiving yards. Austin Eckler to fall into the end zone for a running touchdown. Christian McCaffrey to just plain fall in the end zone at some point during that game. And James Conner to score at least one touchdown in that high-scoring game against Kansas City, which, again, they had a terrible time playing running backs last season and the season before, if I remember correctly. So we're going to go ahead and do $8 here on this one for a chance to win 80. See how that goes. And again, the biggest difference that I've mentioned in one of my first videos is that you don't necessarily have to go 5 for 5 on this site. Let me go ahead and move this so you can actually see what I'm talking about. You don't have to go 5 for 5 here. You can actually go 4 for 5 and still double your money. And then even if you get 3 out of 5, you can get some of your money back. So that's something good. That's one of the things I love about PrizePicks is that you can easily gives you a little bit more wiggle room to not lose everything. So we got $8 on that one. Hit place entry. So we've got Tom Brady, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, and James Conner. Extra fun to have going into Sunday. So, all right. So that was just a quick stream tonight, going over a few injuries. Also going over my roster for Yahoo Fantasy, which was a standard half-point PPR league, 10-man league. The next thing was doing a DFS showdown lineup for the Thursday night football game between Buffalo and the LA Rams. All right, so that's the end of the stream for the night. Just to recap, I went over some injuries to look out for week 1. I also gave you a look at my roster for my Yahoo standard 10-man league, half-point PPR scoring. Just to kind of keep track and see how I'm doing in that league throughout the NFL season. I also built a Thursday night football showdown lineup on DraftKings. Kind of curious to see how that turns out. Give you guys a look into how I go about building a Thursday night showdown lineup. I also built a 50-50 lineup just to kind of see if we can keep on doubling our entry fees throughout the season. Hopefully we hit in week 1 and keep going strong going forward. And lastly, I've made a Underdog Fantasy and PrizePicks parlay on Underdog. We made a $5 parlay card to win 100, and then on PrizePicks we made a $8 5-pick parlay to win $80 on that site. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please follow me on Twitch at WillReese14. I'm also going to drop a link for both PrizePicks and Underdog. If you haven't joined the site yet, you can join the site and use that link to get up to $100 deposit match for both sites. I'll post that link in the description so that you can use it. Shout out to Fantasyholics for their support of my for my videos in the past. They've been so kind to share the links to my YouTube videos on their Facebook page. If you haven't followed them already on Facebook and Instagram, and they also have a Fantasyholics podcast as well to follow as well on Instagram. So give them check them out for some fantasy information, some injury updates. They're really good about keeping you up to date with different news throughout the NFL to give you the best advantage as possible during the NFL fantasy season. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe and come back and keep up to date with the channel to get the best advantage possible for your fantasy football season this year. Thanks.